Hello, welcome to Facebook Live here with your pro-life lobby team in Austin. I'm here today with our legislative director, John Seago. John, are we in our third or fourth week of session?
Fourth, maybe?
Fourth?
I don't know. You lose count after a while.
Yeah, it's kind of running together. We've been really busy. Before we get into content, make sure to go ahead and like this post and share the video with your friends so we can reach more people in talking about what's going on pro-life issues under the Pink Dome. We have an Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So, follow us on Twitter and all those other social media accounts for some up-to-date information from all the members of our legislative team. Last week, most of our viewers tuned in for our update from the federal district courthouse steps regarding Medicaid funding. A federal district judge has expectedly ruled that a temporary injunction should be in place for Medicaid funding, still allowing Planned Parenthoods in Texas to receive state funding. But I wanted to talk a little bit, John, in 2011, our legislative team was extremely successful at the legislature in transferring millions of dollars away from the abortion industry. So besides Medicaid funding, what are there other state funds that are still funding abortion clinics in Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've seen is that there's a big cultural discussion about funding Planned Parenthood. And so a lot of people are tweeting, they're putting Facebook posts up, they're emailing, they're very worked up about defunding Planned Parenthood. And this is a recent trend in the last 2 years around these undercover videos was one of the reasons, and there's a big conversation about defunding Planned Parenthood right now. And Texas Right to Life, we've actually been working on that. We've actually been working to defund Planned Parenthood since 2009, and we've had some huge successes since 2011. And so we're still working on this, and what we actually revealed, Emily, what we actually posted this week was some details about what Texas Right to Life has independently found in the state budget. So we've used a lot of the tools here. We went through the data, we went through the comptroller's data, and found that Planned Parenthood last fiscal year 2016, actually received $518,000 of taxpayer dollars in Texas. Now, this is not Medicaid. This has nothing to do with the lawsuit we were at last week. This is all through Texas budget. These are Texas state taxpayer dollars that are going to Planned Parenthood and several affiliates. So Texas Right to Life, we revealed this knowledge and what we had found, and we've been talking to elected officials, Chairman of Senate Finance, some of our allies on Appropriations Committee in the House, and been talking to them about how are we going to stop this, how are we actually going to effectively defund Planned Parenthood in Texas. No matter what happens in court and no matter what happens in Congress, there's still $518,000 we can deal with in Texas.
Right, and just to be clear, John, the $518,000, that has nothing to do with the federal government or congressional rules. It's all leveled here at the state.
Yeah, these are things that are in the Texas state budget, and some of these are from some programs and some funding streams that a lot of our government offices that we've been talking to thought were already cut off. They thought that some of these huge, six-digit kind of numbers that we see, these like six-digit grants should have been cut off by some of our riders. And so we've been working with some of our elected officials to look back at, okay, what have we missed? Just because that's what we've seen with Planned Parenthood, is that they keep popping up in the state budget. They keep popping up in all of these different programs. And so, we use the analogy of the whack-a-mole.
Right.
And so we had some graphics that kind of showed exactly where this money is coming from, and we keep stopping Planned Parenthood from this program, and they pop up over in this program. And so what we've been recommending is a budget-wide rider, of one kind of language to go on the budget that applies to all sides of the budget, no matter where Planned Parenthood tries to end up, that we give the state agencies authority to kick Planned Parenthood out of those programs.
Excellent. Excellent. What else are we working on as far as budget and money from the state?
Yeah, so another important thing that we're going to be discussing with elected officials in the upcoming weeks is getting more fun, not just stopping not stopping money from the bad guys, but actually giving money to the good guys. And that's primarily through the Alternatives to Abortion program. So Texas Right to Life, we've worked on getting more state funding to the Alternatives to Abortion program, which is a network of social services in the state, and these are pregnancy centers, maternity homes, adoption agencies, other social service offices that help women decide to go to alternatives to abortion, to make that decision, but also help them in their parenting up to several of the first years of parenting, help them get the material assistance they need, some of the training that they need. And so this is a great program. We're actually going to be working on getting increased funding to that program.
Right. Well, are there any questions? I think we've got some questions on Facebook in the comments. So, Ms. Horn?
Bobby Duncan, who is a pastor, asks what he can do to help.
Great question. Sharing the information about what are the pro-life initiatives underneath the Capitol Dome by following us on social media and contacting your local elected official, your state representative, your state senator, and telling them that you as a constituent believe and want them to make as a priority the priority pro-life legislative agenda for this session. Phone calls, an email, a letter to your state representative or state senator can go a really long way.
Absolutely. And what I would do is when I email your elected official, I would link. We posted an article on our website about the ending the whack-a-mole game. I would use that link to send to your elected official because that actually shows them that Planned Parenthood is not defunded yet. And a lot of our elected officials, they think that we've already done, that we've already cut off all the funds we can. And so that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
We're also getting questions about what else can be done to make sure that we're not subsidizing the abortion industry. Are there any other ways, any other bills that we're working on that regard?
Excellent.
You can go ahead.
All right, so there is another way that we are working on this with the pro-life insurance reform. We're actually working on a bill that we've tried several sessions now. Should have passed last session.
It should have.
Several
Thanks to political games.
Yes, so we've got this one bill, and it's SB 20 in the Senate side, and it's House Bill 1113 on the House side. And what that does is it cuts off the subsidizing of abortion plans through your health insurance. And so when you pay your premiums, that goes towards other health insurance coverage for those that are in that same pool. And we actually have a bill that we've worked on several sessions now that would cut off paying for abortion coverage through your health insurance, whether you're in a private plan, whether you're in a state employee plan, or plan that's authorized by the Affordable Care Act.
And you know the tagline behind that particular bill is, I mean, that's about choice. That's about pro-lifers in Texas who don't want their money subsidizing the abortions of other people. I mean, you know, if you don't want the coverage, you don't have to pay for it.
Right, and the funny thing is that bill is actually not an anti-ACA bill. It's not a Republican bill. It's not saying we don't like the Affordable Care Act, and some have disagreed with it because they thought that. But actually, this bill is kind of embarrassing that Texas has not passed this yet, because when the ACA was passed, this language was actually in there. So Congress put in this exemption saying if states want to opt out of abortion coverage, they can, and several states have. And it's embarrassing that Texas, which some try to argue is the most pro-life state in the union, has not done that yet. And so session after session, we've missed this opportunity. So that should be an easy win, should happen early in the session to get the SB 20, 1113 to the governor's desk signed, and then we can move on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely.
Do you have another question?
Someone named Jeff Leach would like to know where John Seco got that tie.
Representative Leach is one of our good pro-life members in the State House. So you'll have to tell him where you got your tie.
We'll have to exchange fashion tips later, Representative.
Thank you so much for watching, and tune in next week for our next update.